In a small, quiet village nestled between ancient mountains, there lived a wise monk who taught the art of living in stillness. He believed that the mind, when properly cultivated, was like a mirror reflecting the brilliance of the universe. Yet, this wisdom was known only to those willing to walk the path of silence, self-reflection, and mindful action. It was in this village that a curious young seeker arrived, desperate to increase his intelligence. He had heard of the monk's teachings and was eager to unlock the secrets of a sharper mind, hoping to overcome his self-doubt and find answers to life's questions. Upon reaching the monastery, the seeker knocked on the heavy wooden door. The monk, clothed in simple robes, opened the door slowly and welcomed the young man without a word. Instead of asking the usual questions about why the seeker had come, the monk motioned toward a serene courtyard where a bamboo grove stood tall, their leaves rustling faintly in the wind. The young man bowed respectfully and followed the monk to the center of the courtyard, where a small meditation platform awaited. The monk pointed to the platform and gestured for the seeker to sit. The young man hesitated. He had come seeking knowledge, expecting words, lessons, and perhaps even books to increase his intelligence. Yet, here he was, being asked to sit in silence. Reluctantly, the seeker sat down. The monk sat beside him, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. After what felt like hours, the seeker's patience began to wear thin. He finally broke the silence and asked, "I came here to learn how to become more intelligent, but you've said nothing. How can sitting here make me smarter?" The monk slowly opened his eyes and replied softly, "Before you can learn, you must first clear your mind of its noise. Intelligence is not about filling your mind with more information. It is about creating space for wisdom to flow." The mirror of the mind, the young seeker frowned, confused. "What do you mean by clearing the mind? Isn't intelligence about gaining knowledge?" The monk smiled. "Imagine your mind as a lake. When the surface of the lake is disturbed by waves, you cannot see the reflection of the sky. But when the water is calm and still, it reflects the sky perfectly. Your mind is like that. When it is filled with worries, distractions, and endless thoughts, you cannot perceive the deeper truths of the world." The seeker sat quietly, contemplating the monk's words. He realized that his mind was often a storm of thoughts, jumping from one worry to another, constantly seeking answers without ever finding them. The idea of a calm mind intrigued him, and for the first time, he understood that intelligence might be more about clarity than information. The monk stood and led the seeker to a small stream that flowed near the monastery. As they watched the water flow over smooth stones, the monk said, "Do you see how the water moves effortlessly, finding its way around the rocks? It is not force that guides the water, but its ability to flow with the obstacles." In the same way, intelligence is not about forcefully acquiring knowledge. It is about flowing with life's challenges, adapting and learning as you go. The seeker began to see that true intelligence was not a matter of cramming his mind with facts, but of learning to observe, reflect, and respond to life's circumstances with wisdom and grace. The lesson of stillness. Days passed, and the seeker continued to meditate in the courtyard. At first, his mind was restless, filled with thoughts of the outside world, his ambitions, and his worries about the future. But as he sat in silence, slowly, the noise in his mind began to fade. He learned to focus on his breath, to feel the cool breeze on his skin, and to listen to the sounds of nature around him. One morning, after several weeks of practice, the monk approached him with a question. What have you learned so far? The seeker took a deep breath before responding. I've learned that my mind is often too cluttered. I am beginning to see how much I've been distracted by my own thoughts, preventing me from truly observing the world. The monk nodded approvingly. This is the first step to true intelligence. When the mind is still, it becomes like an empty vessel, ready to be filled with understanding. The more you clear your mind, the more you will be able to see the world as it is, without the distortions of your thoughts. As the seeker reflected on this, he realized that the monk was teaching him the power of mindfulness. By being present in each moment, he could observe the world with greater clarity. And with that clarity came a deeper understanding, a kind of intelligence that went beyond mere knowledge. The art of questioning. One evening, the monk invited the seeker to join him for tea. As they sat together in the fading light of the day, the monk asked, "Do you believe that intelligence is about having all the answers?" The seeker hesitated before replying, "I used to think so. But now I'm not sure. It seems that there's more to intelligence than just knowing things." The monk smiled. Indeed. Intelligence is not about having all the answers. It is about asking the right questions. When you approach life with curiosity and openness, you create space for learning. Many people rush to conclusions, but the wise take their time to question, to reflect, and to understand. The seeker thought back to his earlier life. He realized that he had often been afraid to ask questions, fearing that it would make him appear ignorant. But now, he understood that true intelligence came from embracing the unknown and seeking to understand it, rather than pretending to know everything. The monk poured more tea and continued, "A mind that is always seeking answers will often miss the subtle lessons of life. But a mind that is willing to question, to sit with uncertainty, will discover truths that others overlook. This is the intelligence of wisdom." The power of silence. As the days turned into weeks, the seeker noticed a profound change within himself. He had stopped searching for external validation, no longer feeling the need to prove his intelligence to others. Instead, he focused on deepening his understanding of the world through observation, mindfulness, and reflection. One day, while meditating in the courtyard, the seeker experienced a moment of profound stillness. For the first time, he felt as though his mind had truly become a mirror, reflecting the world without distortion. In that moment of silence, he realized something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. Intelligence is not something you attain, but something you uncover. It is not something you gain, but something you become. When the monk asked him about his meditation experience, the seeker replied, "I've learned that silence holds more wisdom than I ever imagined. In silence, I can hear the truth that my busy mind often drowns out. I now understand that true intelligence is born in moments of stillness." The monk smiled warmly and said, "You are beginning to see the truth of Zen and Buddhist teachings. The mind that is still can hear the whispers of the universe. In silence, we find answers not through words, but through deep understanding." The path of humility. As the seeker continued his journey, he also learned the importance of humility. The monk often reminded him that intelligence was not something to be flaunted or used to elevate oneself above others. Instead, it was a gift to be shared with compassion and humility. One day, while walking through the village, the seeker encountered a group of children playing by the stream. They were trying to build a bridge of stones, but their efforts kept failing. Instead of rushing in to offer solutions, the seeker sat quietly by the stream and watched. He observed the flow of the water, the placement of the stones, and the way the children worked together. After some time, one of the children approached him and asked for help. The seeker smiled and gently guided them in rearranging the stones, using what he had observed to help them build a stable bridge. As they succeeded, the children cheered with joy, and the seeker felt a deep sense of fulfillment. When he returned to the monastery, the monk asked him about his experience. The seeker replied, "I learned that intelligence is not about showing off what you know, but about using your knowledge to help others in a humble and compassionate way." The monk nodded and said, "True intelligence is always accompanied by humility. When we recognize that we are all learners on this journey of life, we can share our wisdom without pride. And in doing so, we elevate not only ourselves but also those around us." Months passed, and the seeker felt as though he had undergone a profound transformation. He had come to the monastery seeking to increase his intelligence, but what he had found was something far deeper. He had learned that intelligence was not about accumulating knowledge, but about cultivating a clear, still mind that could perceive the world with wisdom and compassion. As he prepared to leave the monastery, the monk offered him a final piece of advice. "Remember, the path to true intelligence is an endless journey. It is not a destination you reach, but a way of being that you cultivate throughout your life. Continue to ask questions, to reflect, and to observe the world with an open heart and mind. And never forget that the greatest intelligence lies in the quiet moments of stillness, where the mind is free to discover the truths that cannot be spoken." The seeker bowed deeply, filled with gratitude for the lessons he had learned. As he walked down the path away from the monastery, he felt lighter, freer, and more aware of the world around him. He realized that he no longer needed to chase after intelligence, it was already within him. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. In a serene village nestled between majestic mountains and verdant forests, lived a community that followed the teachings of Buddhism. Their lives were guided by the principles of simplicity, mindfulness, and inner peace. Among them was a wise monk, who was revered for his deep understanding of Buddhist teachings and his ability to impart wisdom through stories. One morning, as the sun bathed the village in a golden hue, the monk gathered the villagers by the ancient Bodhi tree. The air was filled with anticipation as the monk began to speak. "Dear friends," he said, "today I will share with you a story about 7 simple yet profound habits that, if embraced, can transform your lives. These habits, though challenging, lead to a life of peace and fulfillment." 1. Mindful breathing. The monk began his tale with a young villager who was always restless. He found it difficult to focus on any task and was constantly overwhelmed by worries. One day, he approached the wise monk, seeking guidance. "Master, my mind is never at peace. How can I find tranquility?" he asked. The monk smiled and handed him a small candle. "Light this candle and observe the flame," he instructed. "Focus solely on your breath and the flame. Inhale slowly, hold, and exhale gently." The young man followed the monk's instructions. At first, his thoughts wandered, but gradually, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. As days turned into weeks, this simple practice of mindful breathing transformed his life. He became more focused, his anxiety diminished, and he found joy in the present moment. Mindful breathing is a fundamental Buddhist practice. By focusing on the breath, one can anchor the mind, reduce stress, and cultivate a sense of peace. This habit, though simple, requires discipline and patience, but its rewards are profound. 2. Embracing impermanence. Next, the monk spoke of an elderly farmer who clung to his possessions and feared change. He had amassed wealth but was plagued by the fear of losing it. One day, a storm ravaged the village, destroying the farmer's home and crops. Devastated, he sought the monk's counsel. "Master, everything I worked for is gone. How can I move forward?" he lamented. The monk led him to a cherry blossom tree. "Observe this tree," he said. "Its blossoms are beautiful but fleeting. They bloom, bring joy, and then fall. Life is like these blossoms, ever-changing and impermanent." The farmer pondered the monk's words. Over time, he learned to let go of his attachments and accept the impermanent nature of life. This newfound understanding brought him peace and freedom from his fears. Embracing impermanence is a core tenet of Buddhism. Recognizing that everything is transient helps one to let go of attachments and live more fully in the present. This habit encourages resilience and adaptability in the face of life's inevitable changes. 3. Practicing compassion. The monk then narrated the story of a fisherman who was known for his short temper. He often lashed out at others, causing pain and discord. One day, he encountered the monk, who advised him to practice compassion. "Master, how can I cultivate compassion in my heart?" the fisherman asked. The monk handed him a small bowl and a handful of seeds. "Each day, as you catch fish, think of them as beings with lives and families. For every kind thought, place a seed in this bowl." The fisherman followed the monk's advice. Initially, it was difficult, but gradually, he began to feel empathy for the fish and his fellow villagers. His temper softened, and he found joy in helping others. The bowl soon overflowed with seeds, symbolizing the growth of compassion in his heart. Practicing compassion is essential in Buddhism. It fosters kindness, empathy, and a sense of interconnectedness with all beings. This habit transforms relationships and brings inner peace and fulfillment. 4. Cultivating mindfulness. Next, the monk spoke of a carpenter who was always preoccupied with past regrets and future worries. He found it hard to concentrate on his work and was often unhappy. The monk suggested practicing mindfulness. "Master, how can I be mindful in my daily life?" the carpenter inquired. The monk gave him a simple task. "Every morning, as you start your work, take a moment to observe your tools. Feel the texture of the wood, and listen to the sound of your hammer. Be fully present in each moment." The carpenter took the monk's advice to heart. He began each day with mindfulness, fully immersing himself in his work. He noticed the beauty in the grain of the wood and the rhythm of his hammering. This practice brought him a deep sense of satisfaction and joy. Cultivating mindfulness involves being fully present in each moment. This habit reduces stress, enhances focus, and allows one to appreciate the beauty in everyday tasks. It fosters a deeper connection with oneself and the world around. 5. Simplifying life. The monk then told the story of a merchant who was constantly busy, juggling numerous tasks and possessions. He felt overwhelmed and unfulfilled. Seeking advice, he approached the monk. "Master, I am burdened by my possessions and responsibilities. "How can I find peace?" he asked. The monk led him to a serene, uncluttered room. "Simplicity is the key," he said. "Let go of what is unnecessary and focus on what truly matters." The merchant took the monk's words to heart. He began decluttering his life, shedding unnecessary possessions and responsibilities. This simplification brought him clarity and peace. He found joy in the essentials and freed himself from the tyranny of excess. Simplifying life is a powerful Buddhist habit. It involves letting go of material excess and focusing on what truly matters. This habit fosters clarity, reduces stress, and allows one to live more intentionally and joyfully. 6. Practicing gratitude. The monk then shared the story of a baker who was always dissatisfied, despite his success. He constantly compared himself to others and felt a sense of lack. The monk advised him to practice gratitude. "Master, how can I cultivate gratitude in my heart?" the baker asked. The monk gave him a journal and a simple task. Each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. Reflect on them before you sleep. The baker followed the monk's advice. At first, it was challenging, but soon he began to notice the abundance in his life. He appreciated the warmth of his oven, the smiles of his customers, and the love of his family. This practice transformed his perspective, bringing him contentment and joy. Practicing gratitude shifts one's focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. This habit fosters a sense of appreciation and contentment. It helps one to recognize and cherish the blessings in life, leading to greater happiness and fulfillment. 7. Letting go of anger. Finally, the monk spoke of a warrior who was consumed by anger. He harbored grudges and sought revenge for past wrongs. This anger poisoned his heart and life. Seeking peace, he approached the monk. "Master, my anger consumes me. How can I find peace?" he asked. The monk handed him a bowl of water and a stone. "Drop this stone into the water and observe," he instructed. The warrior did as he was told. The stone created ripples, disturbing the water. "Your anger is like this stone," the monk explained. "It disturbs your peace. Let go of the stone and watch the water settle." The warrior understood. He began to practice forgiveness and let go of his anger. It was not easy, but over time, he felt a burden lift from his heart. He found peace and clarity, free from the turmoil of anger. Letting go of anger is crucial in Buddhism. Anger disrupts inner peace and harms relationships. This habit involves practicing forgiveness and compassion, leading to emotional freedom and tranquility. As the monk concluded his story, the villagers sat in quiet reflection. The sun had set, and the night was illuminated by the gentle glow of the moon. The monk's words had woven a tapestry of wisdom, highlighting the transformative power of these 7 simple yet profound habits. The young man who learned mindful breathing now shared his practice with others, helping them find calm in the storm of life. The elderly farmer embraced impermanence, finding joy in each fleeting moment. The once angry fisherman spread compassion, creating a ripple of kindness throughout the village. The carpenter, through mindfulness, found beauty in the simplicity of his work. The merchant, by simplifying his life, discovered true wealth in contentment. The baker's gratitude illuminated his days with happiness. And the warrior, having let go of anger, became a beacon of peace. The monk's story had touched their hearts, inspiring them to embrace these habits. Though difficult, they knew that with persistence and practice, they could transform their lives. The village thrived in harmony, a testament to the power of Buddhist teachings and the wisdom of their beloved monk. In this tranquil village, under the watchful gaze of the ancient Bodhi tree, the villagers found a profound sense of peace and fulfillment, their lives forever changed by the simple yet powerful habits of mindfulness, compassion, gratitude, and more. And so, the monk's story continued to echo through the generations, a timeless guide to a life well lived. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of calm so deep that no external event can disturb it. The rain may pour, the sun may blaze, words may be sharp, and disappointments may arise, yet your inner world remains serene, untouched by the constant flux of life. This is not a dream or wishful thinking, it is a profound reality available to those who embrace the timeless principles taught by Buddhism. These principles are like ancient keys, opening doors within our minds that lead to an unshakable peace, a sanctuary where nothing can disturb us. Each principle is a step on this path, a stone laid with wisdom and insight, designed to shield us from the storms of life and help us find the unassailable peace within. These are not abstract ideas, they are tested truths that anyone can follow, truths that free the mind from suffering and allow us to stand firm against life's turbulence. Here, we will explore each principle deeply, finding not only its meaning but how to embody it, living it so fully that nothing external can sway our inner peace. Let us begin this journey of transformation and discover the power within each of these Buddhist teachings. Principle 1. The power of impermanence. Buddhism teaches that everything in life is impermanent. The concept of impermanence is a foundational truth that liberates us from attachment and the suffering that follows it. When we embrace impermanence, we realize that every pleasure, every pain, every relationship, and even life itself is transient. Nothing lasts forever, and that truth frees us. Imagine observing the petals of a flower. They bloom in vibrant colors, catching the morning light, but by evening, they begin to fade. So too, every experience we have, both joyful and painful, eventually fades. Clinging to them is like trying to hold water in our hands. The tighter we grip, the faster it slips away. Embracing impermanence helps us let go of both our triumphs and our struggles, allowing us to find balance amidst the ebb and flow of life. Principle 2. Non-attachment to outcomes. Much of our suffering stems from our attachment to specific outcomes. We envision the way things should be, and when reality does not align with that vision, we experience frustration. Non-attachment teaches us to let go of the need to control everything, allowing events to unfold naturally. By releasing our expectations, we free ourselves from disappointment and open up to new possibilities. This principle does not mean we stop setting goals or striving for improvement. It means that we remain unattached to whether things turn out exactly as planned. Just as a tree grows in response to the wind, bending and adjusting to each gust, we too must adapt to life's ever-shifting conditions without rigid expectations. By doing so, we cultivate resilience and avoid the trap of suffering caused by unmet expectations. Principle 3. Mindfulness in each moment. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment. Rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, mindfulness teaches us to immerse ourselves in the present experience. This helps us build a calm mind that is neither shaken by regrets nor fears, allowing us to see things as they truly are. Picture yourself sitting by a river, watching leaves drift by. Each thought, each feeling, is like a leaf. We observe them, acknowledge them, but we do not become entangled with them. They come, they go, and we remain rooted in the awareness of the present. Mindfulness offers a simple yet profound shield against life's chaos by grounding us in the here and now. Preventing external disturbances from taking root in our minds. Principle 4. Compassion for yourself and others. Compassion is more than kindness, it is a deep understanding and empathy for the suffering of others and oneself. Buddhism teaches that by cultivating compassion, we expand our hearts and dissolve the barriers that separate us from others. Compassion turns anger into understanding and frustration into patience, creating a buffer that protects us from emotional harm. When someone speaks harshly or acts unkindly, our natural response may be to react with hurt or anger. But through compassion, we begin to see that their actions are often a reflection of their own suffering. This insight allows us to respond with patience rather than resentment. Likewise, when we extend compassion to ourselves, we stop judging our flaws and mistakes harshly, recognizing them as natural aspects of our humanity. This self-compassion creates inner peace, making it difficult for external judgments to disturb us. Principle 5. Acceptance of what is. Acceptance does not mean resignation, it means acknowledging reality without resistance. The more we resist what is, the more we suffer. Acceptance allows us to recognize situations as they are, without adding layers of judgment or wishful thinking. It does not mean we are passive, but that we work with reality rather than against it. Imagine standing before a stormy sea. You could fight the waves, attempting to force them to calm down, or you could stand firm, accepting the storm for what it is. By accepting things as they are, we conserve our energy and prevent ourselves from becoming consumed by frustration or anger. Acceptance allows us to find peace even when circumstances are difficult. Strengthening our resolve against external pressures. Principle 6. Detachment from ego. The ego is the source of much of our suffering. It craves recognition, approval, and superiority. Buddhism teaches that by detaching from the ego, we release the need to be validated by others. Instead, we find contentment within, independent of external opinions. Consider how often we become hurt by criticism or inflated by praise. These reactions stem from ego attachment. By letting go of the ego's grip, we remain unaffected by others' judgments, whether positive or negative. We become like a tree that stands tall, rooted deeply, untouched by the changing winds. Detachment from ego brings an inner strength that prevents external criticisms or accolades from shaking our peace. Principle 7. Understanding suffering as a teacher. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, yet Buddhism views it as one of our greatest teachers. Rather than fearing or avoiding suffering, we learn to understand and even embrace it as a means of growth. Every painful experience has something to teach us, if only we are willing to listen. Think of suffering as a sculptor, chiseling away at a stone to reveal a masterpiece within. Each hardship shapes us, helping us grow in compassion, patience, and resilience. When we view suffering as a teacher, we become less vulnerable to life's challenges. We learn to see adversity not as an enemy, but as a wise guide leading us toward inner strength. Principle 8. Simplicity as freedom. simplicity is a core Buddhist value that emphasizes the importance of freeing ourselves from excessive desires and material attachments. In a world filled with distractions and the endless pursuit of possessions, simplicity reminds us to focus on what truly matters. By simplifying our lives, we reduce the number of things that can disturb our peace. Imagine your mind as a garden. The more clutter we introduce, the more difficult it becomes to maintain peace and clarity. By choosing simplicity, we remove distractions, creating space for inner tranquility. This freedom from material attachments makes us less vulnerable to the pressures and demands of the outside world. Fostering a life of contentment and stability. Principle 9. The power of letting go. Letting go is not about giving up, it is about releasing the burdens that no longer serve us. We often carry grievances, regrets, and grudges that weigh us down and disturb our peace. Buddhism teaches that by letting go, we free ourselves from these chains and create space for peace and joy. Imagine letting go of a stone you have been carrying for miles. As it leaves your hand, you feel a lightness, a freedom that comes from release. This is the power of letting go, not just of physical burdens, but of emotional ones. By releasing what no longer serves us, we become immune to the heavy impact of negative emotions, allowing us to remain at peace no matter the circumstances. Principle 10. Inner silence and stillness. The ultimate shield against life's disturbances is the practice of inner silence and stillness. This is not a mere absence of noise, but a deep tranquility that arises from within. When we cultivate silence, we disconnect from the chaotic chatter of the mind and connect with the profound peace at our core. Imagine a lake on a calm day. The surface is so still that it reflects the sky like a mirror. Our mind, when quieted through meditation and stillness, becomes like that lake. It reflects reality without distortion, remaining untouched by the storms around it. By nurturing this inner silence, we develop a sanctuary within that no external force can disturb. Conclusion. The path to inner peace. Each of these principles is a tool, a guide that helps us build an unshakable fortress of peace within. Life will continue to bring challenges, changes, and uncertainties, but when we live by these teachings, we find a strength that is unaffected by external events. We become like the still lake, calm and clear, reflecting life as it is without becoming disturbed by it. In following these Buddhist principles, we unlock the door to a profound inner freedom, a freedom that no circumstance, no word, no action can take away. By embodying these truths, we learn that true peace is not found in controlling the world around us, but in mastering the world within us. This is the essence of Buddhism's wisdom, a path that leads not only to personal peace but to a life of compassion, resilience, and joy. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. In the serene landscape of ancient India, under the sprawling branches of a sacred Bodhi tree, Siddhartha Gautama achieved enlightenment and became the Buddha, the Awakened One. His profound insights into the nature of existence, suffering, and the path to liberation have inspired countless seekers of truth across millennia. Today, in our fast-paced, often tumultuous world, his teachings remain a beacon of wisdom, offering timeless guidance on how to cultivate inner peace and mental resilience. mental strength is not merely about enduring hardships, it is about developing a mind that is unshakable in the face of life's challenges. It's about finding a state of equanimity, where one can maintain clarity, compassion, and courage regardless of external circumstances. In this journey, the teachings of the Buddha provide a comprehensive guide, integrating mindfulness, ethical living, and wisdom. Let us embark on a journey through 5 essential tips from Buddhist and Zen teachings that can help us develop mental strength. Each lesson is woven into a story that not only illuminates the principles but also shows how these teachings can be applied in our everyday lives. Lesson 1: Embrace mindfulness, the present moment. The story begins with a young monk named Ananda, who was known for his diligence and humility. Ananda, despite his best efforts, often found himself distracted by thoughts of the past and anxieties about the future. He approached the wise elder monk, Venerable Sariputta, seeking advice on how to quiet his restless mind. Venerable Sariputta smiled and shared the story of the Buddha's own practice of mindfulness. He recounted how the Buddha had taught the importance of being fully present in each moment. The Buddha often emphasized that the mind, like a monkey, swings from thought to thought, never staying still. The practice of mindfulness, or sati, is the art of calming this restless monkey mind by anchoring it to the present moment. Sariputta instructed Ananda to focus on his breath, a technique known as anapanasati. By observing the breath, the rise and fall of the abdomen, the cool air entering the nostrils, and the warm air leaving, Ananda began to cultivate a sense of grounding. Over time, he noticed that his mind became more still and his anxieties diminished. Mindfulness allows us to fully engage with the present moment, without judgment or distraction. It is a powerful tool for mental resilience because it teaches us to respond to life's challenges with clarity and composure, rather than reacting out of fear or habit. Lesson 2: Practice compassion, the power of metta. As Ananda continued his practice, he encountered another challenge: feelings of irritation and impatience towards others. Recognizing this as an obstacle, he sought further guidance from Venerable Sariputta. Sariputta introduced Ananda to the practice of metta, or loving-kindness meditation. He explained how the Buddha had taught that cultivating an attitude of compassion and goodwill towards all beings is essential for inner peace and mental strength. To illustrate this, Sariputta shared a story from the Buddha's life. Once, while the Buddha was meditating in a forest, he encountered a band of wild animals. Instead of reacting with fear, he radiated loving kindness towards them. The animals, sensing his genuine compassion, calmed and eventually left him in peace. Sariputta guided Ananda through the practice of metta meditation. Starting with himself, Ananda silently repeated phrases of goodwill: "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease." He then extended these wishes to his loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and even those he found difficult. Through this practice, Ananda felt his heart soften, and his irritations faded. Compassion strengthens the mind by dissolving barriers of anger and hatred. It fosters a sense of connection and empathy, allowing us to face interpersonal challenges with grace and kindness. By practicing metta, we build a reservoir of inner peace that fortifies us against life's adversities. Lesson 3: Embrace impermanence, the wisdom of anicca. As the seasons changed, Ananda observed the natural cycle of birth, growth, decay, and death in the monastery gardens. This reminded him of the Buddha's teaching on impermanence, or anicca. Ananda sought out Venerable Sariputta once more to deepen his understanding of this profound truth. Sariputta explained that recognizing the impermanent nature of all things is crucial for developing mental strength. He recounted the Buddha's teachings on how clinging to the transient leads to suffering. The Buddha often used the metaphor of a river, constantly flowing and changing, to illustrate the ever-changing nature of life. Sariputta shared a poignant story from the Buddha's life. One of the Buddha's disciples, Kisa Gautami, was devastated by the death of her young son. In her grief, she approached the Buddha, seeking a way to bring her son back to life. The Buddha, with great compassion, instructed her to find a mustard seed from a household that had not experienced death. After a long search, Kisa Gautami realized that death touches all lives, and she came to understand the universal truth of impermanence. Through the practice of contemplating anicca, Ananda learned to accept change with equanimity. He understood that clinging to permanence in a world that is inherently impermanent only leads to suffering. This acceptance brought him a deep sense of peace and resilience, enabling him to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. Embracing impermanence teaches us to let go of attachments and expectations, freeing us from the suffering caused by resistance to change. It helps us develop a flexible and adaptable mind, essential qualities for enduring life's inevitable transformations. Lesson 4. Cultivate right effort, the discipline of diligence. One day, Ananda found himself struggling with laziness and procrastination. He felt overwhelmed by his duties and unsure of how to muster the energy to fulfill them. He turned to Venerable Sariputta for guidance. Sariputta introduced him to the concept of samavayama, or right effort, one of the steps on the Noble Eightfold Path. He explained that the Buddha taught the importance of balancing effort and rest, of finding the middle way between extreme austerity and indulgence. Sariputta shared a story from the Buddha's early years as a seeker. Before his enlightenment, Siddhartha practiced severe asceticism, believing it would lead to liberation. However, he found that extreme deprivation weakened his body and mind. Realizing the futility of such practices, he adopted the middle way, which balanced disciplined effort with mindful rest. Sariputta encouraged Ananda to set realistic goals and to approach his tasks with a steady and consistent effort. He emphasized the importance of perseverance and patience, reminding Ananda that progress on the path to mental strength is gradual and requires sustained effort. Through this practice, Ananda learned to cultivate discipline and diligence without falling into the traps of burnout or laziness. He discovered that right effort is about maintaining a balanced and mindful approach to one's duties. Ensuring that both body and mind are nurtured and aligned, right effort builds mental resilience by fostering a disciplined yet flexible approach to challenges. It teaches us to persevere with patience and to recognize the value of consistent, mindful effort in achieving our goals. Lesson 5. Develop wisdom, the insight of Vipassana. As Ananda's practice deepened, he sought to cultivate a deeper understanding of the nature of reality. He approached Venerable Sariputta, eager to learn about the practice of Vipassana, or insight meditation. Sariputta explained that Vipassana is the practice of seeing things as they truly are. It involves observing the mind and body with clear, penetrating awareness, uncovering the underlying truths of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. This practice leads to panna, or wisdom, which is essential for mental strength. Sariputta shared the story of how the Buddha attained enlightenment through the practice of Vipassana. Sitting under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha observed the arising and passing away of all phenomena within his mind and body. Through this deep observation, He gained profound insights into the nature of existence and the root causes of suffering. Guided by Sariputta, Ananda began practicing vipassana. He observed his thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations without attachment or aversion. Over time, he experienced moments of profound clarity and insight. He saw the interconnectedness of all things and the empty nature of the self. Through vipassana, Ananda developed a deep wisdom that transcended intellectual understanding. This wisdom allowed him to navigate life with a sense of inner freedom and equanimity. Unshaken by external circumstances, developing wisdom through insight meditation builds mental strength by providing a deep, experiential understanding of reality. It liberates us from ignorance and delusion, allowing us to face life's challenges with a clear and liberated mind. Ananda's journey of cultivating mental strength through the teachings of the Buddha is a testament to the transformative power of mindfulness, compassion, acceptance of impermanence, right effort, and wisdom. Each lesson interweaves to create a resilient and peaceful mind, capable of navigating the complexities of life with grace and courage. In our own lives, we can draw upon these timeless teachings to develop mental strength. By embracing mindfulness, we anchor ourselves in the present moment. By practicing compassion, we dissolve barriers of anger and hatred. By accepting impermanence, we find peace in change. By cultivating right effort, we balance discipline and rest. By developing wisdom, we gain a deep understanding of reality. The path to mental strength is a journey of continuous practice. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. Imagine a seed lying dormant in the soil. At first glance, it is insignificant, fragile, and full of potential unrealized. Yet, with the right conditions, water, sunlight, and nurturing, it grows into a magnificent tree, providing shade, shelter, and fruit. The seed did not wait to become a tree to act like one. It simply aligned with the essence of growth and possibility inherent in its nature. This is the principle at the heart of the Zen and Buddhist teaching: act like the person you want to become. The core of this philosophy emphasizes that transformation is not something we wait for, but something we embody through our actions, thoughts, and choices. This teaching, deeply rooted in mindfulness and the law of cause and effect, invites us to align our daily conduct with the qualities of the person we aspire to be. As a Zen proverb states, when walking, walk. When eating, eat. This seemingly simple saying underscores a profound truth: we become what we practice. Each moment offers us a choice to act as the embodiment of our highest potential, regardless of the circumstances. Let us explore this teaching through a story, a metaphorical journey that illustrates how this principle can transform an ordinary life into a path of awakening. The whisper of change. A young wanderer stood at the edge of a forest, weary from the monotony of his days. He carried a burden, not one visible to the eye, but one that weighed heavily on his spirit. He longed to be someone greater, someone wiser, someone who walked with confidence and peace. One day, he encountered a monk sitting beneath a vast tree. The monk radiated serenity, as if he were rooted in the very essence of existence. The wanderer hesitated, then approached and asked, "Master, how do I become the person I dream to be? How do I transform myself into someone worthy, someone whole?" The monk smiled gently and replied, "Act as though you are already that person. If you wish to be wise, act wisely. If you wish to be kind, be kind. The path is made by walking it." Confused, the wanderer asked, "But isn't that pretending? How can I act like someone I am not?" The monk shook his head. The seed does not pretend to be the tree, it embodies the tree's essence in every moment. You are not pretending. You are cultivating the qualities you wish to bring forth. Satisfied yet puzzled, the wanderer decided to heed the monk's words. The wanderer began his journey of transformation. He imagined himself as the wise and compassionate person he longed to become. Though he stumbled at first, he noticed a subtle shift. When he felt anger rising, he asked, "What would a calm person do?" He breathed deeply and responded with patience. When he faced challenges, he reminded himself, "What would a courageous person do?" He acted with resolve, even when fear tugged at his heart. And when he encountered others in need, he thought, "What would a kind person do?" He extended his hand, even if his own resources were limited. In this practice, the wanderer discovered a hidden truth. By aligning his actions with his aspirations, he was no longer imitating someone else. Instead, he was uncovering his true self. Buddhist philosophy teaches that the self is not a fixed entity but a fluid process shaped by our actions and intentions. This concept is called anatta, no self. By acting in alignment with the person we want to become, we gradually dissolve the illusions of our limitations and step into our true potential, the shadows within. The journey was not without obstacles. As the wanderer walked his path, he encountered old habits and doubts, like shadows creeping into the light. One evening, he sat by a river, frustrated and overwhelmed. "I cannot do this," he muttered. "I keep falling into my old ways. How can I become someone new if I am still tethered to the past?" A gentle voice startled him. The monk had appeared once more, as silent as the night. "Do not fear the shadows," the monk said. "They are not your enemy. They are your teachers." "Teachers?" the wanderer asked. "Yes," the monk replied. "Each shadow reveals where you are still clinging to old patterns. When anger arises, it shows you where patience must grow. When fear surfaces, it points to where courage must bloom. Welcome these moments, for they guide you to the person you wish to become." The wanderer nodded, understanding for the first time that his struggles were not signs of failure but opportunities for growth. In Zen and Buddhist teachings, obstacles and suffering are viewed as part of the path. The concept of dukkha, suffering, reminds us that challenges are inevitable, but they also serve as the soil in which wisdom and resilience grow. Each difficulty becomes a mirror, reflecting the areas where we can cultivate the qualities we seek, the transformation. Years passed, and the wanderer continued his practice. Each day, he chose to act as the person he aspired to be, even when it felt difficult. Even when no one noticed. One day, as he walked through a village, he noticed a group of children arguing. He knelt and gently mediated, helping them find peace. A villager observed and said, "You are so wise and calm. You remind me of the monk who once visited us." The wanderer was startled. He realized he had become the person he once admired. His actions had shaped his character, and his character had become his essence. As the wanderer continued on his path, he began to notice something remarkable. His transformation did not remain confined to his inner world. The changes within him started to ripple outward. touching the lives of others. One day, he came across a merchant struggling to carry heavy goods up a hill. The merchant's frustration was evident, and his shouts of anger disturbed the peace of the morning. The wanderer paused, set down his own belongings, and offered to help. Together, they carried the burden to the top. The merchant, humbled by the act of kindness, said, "Your calm presence reminds me to be patient. I see now that anger only worsens the struggle." The wanderer smiled and replied, "Patience is not something we find, it is something we practice. May your burdens feel lighter from this moment on." The merchant nodded, and as the wanderer walked away, he felt a deep realization: when we embody the qualities we admire, we inspire others to do the same. In Buddhist philosophy, this is the concept of interconnectedness, or pratityasamutpada, dependent origination. Our actions do not exist in isolation, they are part of a vast web of cause and effect. By transforming ourselves, we influence the world around us. Our kindness begets kindness, our patience fosters peace, and our courage inspires others to face their fears. The mirror of the world. The wanderer began to see the world not as a place filled with obstacles but as a mirror reflecting his inner state. When he felt peaceful, the world appeared calm. When he faced his fears with courage, challenges became opportunities. One day, while meditating near a quiet stream, he reflected on a lesson the monk had once shared. The world is not something to be conquered. It is a mirror of your heart. If you wish to see peace, cultivate peace within. If you long for kindness, sow seeds of kindness in your actions. As the wanderer looked at his reflection in the water, he saw not just his face but the person he had become, someone who acted with wisdom, compassion, and integrity. This part of the teaching aligns with the Zen principle of inner transformation precedes outer change. The world reflects our inner state. By acting as the person we wish to become, we change not only ourselves but also the way we perceive and interact with the world. This shift is often described as awakening to the true nature of reality. Returning to the beginning. Years later, the wanderer returned to the tree where he first met the monk. To his surprise, the monk was still there, as serene as ever. "You have grown," the monk said, observing the wanderer. "I have," the wanderer replied, "but not in the way I expected. I thought I would reach a destination, but I see now that the journey never ends." The monk nodded. The person you aspire to become is not a goal to be achieved. It is a way of being to be lived. And you have lived it well. The wanderer smiled, realizing that the teachings he had practiced were not something separate from him. They were woven into the fabric of his existence, as natural as breathing. The eternal teachings. This story of the wanderer is a timeless reminder: we are always in the process of becoming. Each thought, word, and action shapes us. By acting as the person we want to become, we awaken to our highest potential, transforming not only ourselves but the world around us. As the monk once said, "The path is not somewhere out there, it is here, now, in every step you take." And so, the wanderer's journey continues, as does ours. With each moment, we are given the opportunity to embody the qualities we admire. In doing so, we become the tree we were always meant to be, a source of shade, shelter, and inspiration for all who pass by. This final teaching encapsulates the Buddhist view of life as an ongoing process of growth and realization. There is no ultimate destination because the path itself is the practice. Every moment offers the chance to act in alignment with our aspirations, creating a life of purpose and meaning. May this teaching inspire you to walk your path with mindfulness, courage, and compassion, knowing that the person you wish to become is already within you, waiting to blossom. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.